First, I'm going to just read this part up here to you. For an angle theta in standard position, and here's an example, whose terminal ray passes through the point xy on the unit circle, sine of theta is going to be your y coordinate. This part right here, this is sine. Make sure you write that down. Sine theta is y. And then cosine will be x. The reason why is SOHCAHTOA. What does that have to do with this? What is sine? Good. So with this angle right here, what is opposite? Y, right? That's why y is sine and adjacent is cosine. That's our x. So on the unit circle, each angle measure will have an x and y coordinate. Your x will always be cosine. Your y will always be sine. You can write that right here. Cosine will always be x. Sine will always be y on the unit circle. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is use the hand trick to kind of review how we find these angles, okay? First of all, what is pi over 6? How do we find that? Alright, tell me what 180 divided by 6 would give us. 30? So write 30 degrees. Pi over 4 would give us, what? 45. And what would pi over 3 be? 60. So we're going to review just by doing the hand trick for sine and cosine. Again, sine of 30. 30 is what finger? Index. So if I put it down, sine is thumb or pinky? Thumb. So how many fingers? So it'd be 1 over 2. Very good. This is just a little review. Cosine of 30 would be square root of what? 3 over 2. Questions? Alright, tell me what sine of 45 would be. Very good, Sarah. Cosine? Very good. Sine of 60? Very good. And cosine of 60? Good. Any questions about those angles or values? Cool. We're going to use just those angles to fill out this entire unit circle. Okay? Before that, let's review signs. What is positive in quadrant 1? All of these. What about in quadrant 2? Good. Only sine. What about in quadrant 3? Only tan. And in quadrant 4, only cosine. Now we can fill out this entire circle. Alright, let's start with identifying the degrees, and that's going to go in this first blank for each one, the degrees, okay? We know that this is what? Good. Let's write 0, 360 on bottom. And we know this is what? And we know this is, and this is, good. Alright, do y'all know what these 3 angles are? It says this one's 60, 45, good. Just like the hand trick, right? It goes from 0 to 30 to 45 to 60 to 90. Well, let's look at the pattern about those, okay? From 0 to 30, what would you have to add? From 30 to 45? 15, very good. From 45 to 60? And from 60 to 90? Good. So the big spaces, you add 30. The small ones in the middle, you add 15. Everybody see that? Let's use that to find the rest of them. So this is a big space. We'll add what? 30 and get, very good, 120 degrees. Then we add 15 and we'll get 135. Then we add and get, and then we add 30 and we already have 180. Now we need to add 30 and we'll get what? Next. Next. Next is 270. You already got that one. Next one. 300. Next. Next. And we already have 360. Any questions about the degrees? So you just add 30, 15, 15, 30. 30, 15, 15, 30. All the way around. Next, let's start with the coordinate points, which is what we're going to write in the parentheses. Again, every coordinate point has an x and y. The x is what? What's the x? Cosine. Y is always sine. Okay. So we've already done 30, 45, and 60 in here, correct? So the coordinate point for 30, which one comes first? Cosine. So it'd be square root of 3 over 2 and what? 1/2. Questions about this one? Again, it's cosine of 30, so that would be square root of 3 over 2, sine of 30, which would be 1 over 2. Okay? For 45 degrees, what was cosine of 45? And sine? Good. That's that coordinate point. For 60 degrees, cosine was what? And then sine? Perfect. Alright, now let's talk about 0 degrees. That's what on your hand? Thumb, right? So, first of all, let's start with cosine, because that's what's going to come first. That's on this side, right? So I have square root of over square root of 4, which is 2, over 2, which is 1. Now for sine of 0, which is on this side, I'd have square root of 0 over 2, which is what? 0. Now for 90, which is my pinky, what would be sine of 90? 2 over 2, which is 1. So that's sine. What would be cosine of 90? 0. Good. Any questions about that first quadrant? Those values. Everybody's good? How would we find the coordinate points for 120? How do you think we do that? Good. Find the reference angle, just like we did in the bell ringer. So how do we find the reference angle for 120? Which gives us, so this coordinate point will be the same as 60, right? The exact same, except one thing. What's that going to be? The sign of which one is negative. Cosine. Good. So is my x or y negative? Very good. So negative 1/2 square root of 3 over 2. Do I need to go over that one more time? How do we find the reference angle for 135? Good. The reference angle would be 45. So these are the same. The only thing different is your x needs to be negative. So tell me what 150 would be, the x. And very good. Questions? What do you think 180 is going to be? Has to deal with the cross, right? The only difference is what? Negative 1. Good. Everybody good so far? Taking the opposite of what?
Yeah, right. Like how 180 is negative 1, 0.
Mm-hmm.
From 0 to 60 is 1 and 0.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of just making negative
Mm-hmm.
1.
Very good. Alright, on 210, how do we find its reference angle? Good, and it'll give you 30. So these will be the same, 30 and 210, except which ones are negative? Both. So it would be and perfect. What do you think the next one would be? 45, so it would be and perfect. Thank you. And what would 240 be? So it would be and very good. What do you think 270 would be? Perfect. You look across from 90 and you just make it negative. Alright, what about 300? How do you find its reference angle? Alright, so you would get 60. So tell me what it would be. And very good. Over 2. Tell me what 315 would be. Perfect. Last one. Anybody? Very good. Any questions about their X and Y coordinates? The last thing is we have to put all the degrees in radians. Let's start with what we know. We know what is 180. What is 180? Same as pi. Good. So we can put pi right here. And we know that 90 is pi over 2. And we know that 360 is what? 2 pi. 2 times 180. What other ones do we know that are on this sheet? Good. 60, 45, and 30. We know that from your chart to the left. What is 30 degrees? And then pi over 4 is already filled out, and this one is. Very good. Everybody see where that came from? Your chart over here. Okay. So, what do you think 120? What would we have to do there? We just had a test on turning degrees into radians. What do we have to do? 120 times over 180, and we can cancel out the zeros. What did 12 and 18 have in common? What on top? On bottom? Okay. 2 pi over 3. What do you think the next one is going to be? What? Oh. Take a look at, well, never mind, we'll do that in a minute. Alright, let's change 135. So what goes into 135 and 180? 5. How many times up top? On bottom? Can we simplify? Yes, to what? Over. What did we take out of 27 to get 3? 9. Everybody with me? So 3 pi over 4. Do y'all notice anything so far? Add them 1 to what? Alright, so what would 150 be if you had to guess? Alright, try it. 4 times 180 divided by 5. Tell me if you get 150. Did it work? Okay. Any other guesses? Okay, we'll keep going. So 150 over 180. We can cross out the 0. And what do they have in common? So it'd be pi over 6. Alright, looking at quadrants 1 and 2, their radians. Do y'all notice anything? Just their radians. The bottom numbers are the same. So 6, 4, 3, and then 3, 4, 6. Everybody see that? Alright, let's make sure it works. Go ahead and convert 210 on your own. 210 into radians on your own, and then tell me what you get out loud. So do you think it'll work, the denominators? Did we find something? Yes? What do you think the next denominator will be? And the next one? Alright, this helps us because now it's going to be easier to find that top part. And this is how. Oops. We know there's always a pi, right? And pi is always 180. So if we have 225 equals, don't write this part down. If we have 225 equals something pi, I'll put x pi, we don't know what times 180 over 4. Couldn't we solve for x? By doing what? How would we solve for x? It was 225 times 4. 900 equals x pi, and now to solve for x, we just divide 900 by 180. Good. So that's going to give us what? 5. So it's going to be 5 pi on top. I'll do that one more time. 5 pi on top. Okay. For the next one, 240 equals something over 3. 240 equals x pi over 3. We need to multiply 240 by 3, which gives us what? And now divide this by 180. Tell me what that gives us. 4 pi. Good. Over 3. Everybody with me on that? Alright, then tell me what the numerator would be for, or first of all, the denominator for these 3. What would the denominator be? 3, 4, and 6. Now tell me what the numerator would be for this one. 5 pi. Tell me what the numerator would be for the next one. Is everybody else trying this on their own, or are they dependent on Jackson? Because Jackson can't take your quiz for you Friday. Monday, excuse me. It shouldn't come out as decimal. How'd you do that one?
300 multiplied by 4.
Alright, why'd you multiply it by 4? On 300? Let's go back to how we got this denominator was 3. See the pattern on this one? Let me go back to here. It goes 3, 4, 6, right? 6, 4, 3. So this would be 3, 4, 6. So you'd multiply 300 by 3 and divide it by 180. Alright, so try, or what is the numerator for 330? Good, thank you. That's the unit circle. So you will be able, I'm confident, you will be able to do this Monday in 5 minutes without a calculator, without anything. I'm confident. By the end of this week. Yes?
What about 270?
Oh, yeah, we need to do that too, don't we? All right, 270, we know that it won't be a 3, 4, or 6 on bottom. It's going to be different. So we'll just do this by 270 pi over 180. Mark out the zeros. What did 27 and 18 have in common? Bigger? 9. So it'd be 3 pi over 2. Good. But yes, you will have 5 minutes to fill this out on Monday, completely with no calculator. 5 minutes, and you can do it
Without a calculator.
without a calculator. And I promise you, by Friday you'll be like, I got this. Let me zoom out some. Huh? I know you'll be able to. And so in pre-cal next year, y'all will already have it down pat. Y'all be so ahead of everybody. All right. What was I about to do? You need one blank sheet of paper out right now. One blank sheet of paper, and you need to write your name on it. This will be taken up for a grade, so make sure that put your name.